Have you ever walked down the sauce aisle in your grocery store and picked up a bottle of sauce and read the label on it to see what was in it? If you did, you would probably never ever buy bottled sauces again. There are so many unnecessary ingredients, especially sugars, in these sauces. So today, our recipe is for chicken teriyaki over seasoned quinoa. It is so good. And best of all, your sauce is homemade, so you know exactly what's in it, and there's no unnecessary ingredients added to it. To start out, we're going to cook our quinoa. The quinoa takes the longest to cook, so we always start out with that. We're going to need 1 cup of dry quinoa. We're going to put it in about a 2-quart saucepan. Then we're going to need 2 cups of chicken broth, or any flavor type of broth. I like to cook it in broth as opposed to water because it gives it a little bit more flavor. Quinoa can be pretty bland, so it gives it more flavor. And then we'll need a 1/2 teaspoon of dry sage, a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of dry thyme, and a 1/2 teaspoon of cilantro. So I've got these all mixed together in here. We just sprinkle it all in there. Again, I just like to cook the quinoa with seasoning so it can get the flavor all cooked and boiled into it. So we're going to turn this on to medium heat and let it come to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, we're going to cover it and we're going to simmer it for 15 minutes. Right now, we just want it to come to a boil. And as that is getting ready to boil, we're going to prepare our chicken. You're going to need about 2 to 3 chicken breasts, boneless and skinless. 2 to 3 tends to be good, around 2 pounds, close to 2 pounds. And we're going to slice this into bite-sized pieces. So we're going to cut it down the middle here, flip it around a bit. Cut it into bite-sized pieces. You want them bite-sized. It's easiest that way. That way they get cooked quicker, and you don't have to worry about cutting them up again once they're on your plate. So bite size, whatever size you think your bite size is, generally about 1 inch. You want roughly about 1.5 to 2 pounds of meat. This generally feeds about 4, so if you have a bigger family, you'll want to make the recipe a little bigger. Once your chicken's all sliced into bite-sized pieces, check on your quinoa. If it's not quite bubbling yet, then continue to let it cook. If you need to increase the heat to medium-high, that's fine. You just don't want to blaze the heat and get the quinoa all weird. So medium-high is all right. If it's not boiling yet, let it boil. Then in a 12-inch skillet, you're going to put 2 tablespoons of oil and preheat it. You always want to preheat your oil. That way your food doesn't stick to your skillet, and also it helps the food to cook faster. So 2 tablespoons, I use olive oil. You can use any type of oil that you like. I prefer olive oil. Turn it on to medium heat and let it get warm for about 3 to 5 minutes. Warm it up enough so that when you put the chicken in, it's going to sizzle. After you've gotten that oil slightly preheated, check on your quinoa. Once your quinoa's started to boil, you're going to stir it. Stir it slightly with a wooden spoon just to get all of those seasonings all combined. Cover it, turn it down to low, and let it simmer for about 15 minutes. Once you've got your quinoa covered and simmering and your oil in your skillet preheated, then you're going to add your chicken. Should sizzle just slightly. Once you have all the pieces in there, stir it around a bit just to coat it with the oil a little bit. Season it with a little bit of seasoned salt and seasoned pepper. Just a little bit, not a lot, because your sauce that you're going to put on it is a little salty. So just a little bit, just enough again to give it flavor. Stir it up one more time just to make sure the salt and the pepper gets all evenly distributed among the chicken. You don't want to have one piece of chicken that has a ton of salt on it and another piece that has nothing. So let's get it all stirred up in there. Once it's all stirred up, turn it on to low, and then you're going to let it cook for about 10 minutes. Make sure you check on it and stir it occasionally because you don't want it browning on one side and not getting done on the other. So as it cooks and you see it starting to brown a little around the edges, it's not really going to brown, it's going to turn a little bit of a golden shade. Stir it around every few minutes. So 10 minutes it needs to cook. While it's cooking, we're going to go over here and we're going to chop our vegetables. Now make sure if you're using the same cutting board as you did the chicken, make sure you thoroughly wash it good. You do not want to cross-contaminate meat with vegetables. We're going to chop some broccoli. You're going to do about 1.5 cups into bite-sized pieces. Once your broccoli is chopped, set it aside. Then you're going to need about 5 mini sweet peppers. I prefer the sweet peppers as to the bell peppers. Bell peppers have a stronger taste. And in this particular sauce recipe, you don't want an overpowering flavor, but you want some flavor. So the sweet peppers make a nice little flavoring there. So you're going to chop these, chop the tops off. Make sure when you're chopping these, you chop them into strips, and make sure to get out all the seed and the core that's in the middle. That can get a very bitter taste. Once you're done chopping your vegetables, stir your chicken one more time. Make sure it's getting all done. Should start seeing it turn a little bit white on the outside. It's okay if it's not completely done yet because it will be cooking more as you put the sauce in. So as that continues to cook, now we're going to work on our sauce. We're going to get 2/3 cup of red wine vinegar. You can also use apple cider vinegar if you prefer the taste of that. They both have a little bit of a sweet taste. 2/3 cup of soy sauce. Try to get the lower sodium unless you prefer lots of salt because soy sauce is very salty. 3 tablespoons of molasses. This gives you a little bit of a sweet taste to it. 2 teaspoons of olive oil. 2 teaspoons of dry ground ginger and 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. And 4 teaspoons of cornstarch so that your sauce is able to get a little bit thick. Whisk it all together until it's smooth. Once it's all smooth, we're going to pour it over our chicken. Stir it together one more time. Get that sauce all over the chicken. Once it's stirred, we're going to add our sweet peppers. Stir it again to get the sweet peppers all evenly distributed and get them coated with a little bit of the sauce also. Then get your broccoli. Put that in there. Stir it together again, just to get it all evenly distributed there. We're going to turn this back up to medium. And we're going to let it come to a little bit of a boil just until it starts bubbling a little bit. While that's coming to a boil, don't forget about your quinoa. Remember to make sure you check on it. Once it's done, turn it off. Keep the lid covered on it so it can stay warm while your chicken is cooking. Once you see your chicken start bubbling, you're going to turn it to low. And you're going to let it simmer for about 5 minutes or until the sauce just starts getting thick. After 5 minutes, stir it a bit more and check it. If the sauce doesn't seem like it's thickening up yet, you can turn up your heat just a little bit higher and let it sit, let it cook for just a few more minutes. Once you let it cook a few more minutes, stir it again. It should not take any more than 10 minutes for your sauce to thicken up. It shouldn't even take that long. If it does, then you might not have added enough cornstarch.
So check it out, see if it's thick enough. It should not be a super thick sauce. It's just going to be a little bit more than water. A little bit thicker than water. See, that's about good right there. Just a little bit. Just enough to stick to your chicken and your vegetables a little bit. This is about a good consistency right like that.
Once it's done, turn it all off. And now, the good part, eat and enjoy. So to serve this, take off the lid of your quinoa. Of course, you can't serve it without a lid. With the lid on. Stir it up so it gets its fluff. Scoop a spoonful of quinoa, or however much you think you're going to want. Quinoa does have protein in it, so it is very filling. So a little bit does go a long way. And then a spoonful or two of the chicken and veggie mixture right on top there. If you want a little bit more of the sauce on it, you can. It depends on how saucy you like. I just like enough over the meat. And there you have it. Eat and enjoy. That's good stuff. That's it for today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, remember to hit that like and subscribe button. Leave me a comment if you'd like. Let me know if there's any recipes that you'd like to learn how to make without using white flour and white sugar. And as always, until we see you again, keep cooking.